behind super, a common misconception. When people hear super, they think it's from Superman, but it's not Superman. I'm a big anime nerd. Super Sodiq is Super Saiyan. It's coming from Dragon Ball Z. A lot of people, when they see me fighting, they think I'm a big macho bravado guy, but I carry myself very humbly. I come from very humble beginnings, and I don't forget that. And before I even got into the UFC, I'm a big nerd at heart, so I watched a lot of anime. And when I see those guys on TV, I always felt inspiration from their stories. You know, a lot of anime is based off somebody starting off with humble beginnings and training and working hard until they become the strongest in the world, you know? So when I saw the UFC and I saw people fighting in real life, I was like, man, that's like the real version of WWE. You know, these guys are like, it's you against another man, it's their will against your will, and the harder you work, the more likely you are of winning. So that's really, it's a very good correlation. There's a lot of us that are in MMA that you will find are big anime nerds. I wouldn't say there's one particular, but of course there's the cliches like Dragon Ball Z, Yu Yu Hakusho, and stuff like that when you're coming up. But there's a History's Strongest Disciple, Kenichi. That one's not well known, but it's about a martial artist. He goes into a home where there's different martial arts masters that are teaching them different parts of martial arts. So it's very, very MMA specific. So that's another one I can think about. But man, to be honest, you could throw a rock at any anime and find inspiration. That's one of the best things about it. As an amateur, I went undefeated. I had no losses as an amateur. And it was one of those things where my coach wanted me to stay as an amateur for a long time because he said he wanted me to lose first. You know, he was like, I want you to lose when it doesn't matter, so you know what it feels like before we turn pro. But the wins just kept getting better and better. So after a while, I was like, hey, one of my coaches said something to me, and he was like, do you want somebody to do what you're doing to other people to you for free? And I was like, no, I don't, you know, it's a lot of damage. So we turned pro, and from then on, it's just about climbing the ladder. I got all the way to the point where I had my first ever defeat. Then an organization brought me in to fight one of Conor McGregor's teammates, but they wanted me to come in and lose to him. They didn't know who I was. I fought all the way in Jordan in the Middle East. So it wasn't all the way until I was about to walk out, the promoter turns to me and was like, man, a lot of people know you. You're actually very good. I was like, yeah, you're about to find out, you know? So I beat McGregor's guy, and after that, Dana White called, and he was like, the best fighters in all the US, let's make them fight each other, and the winner gets a contract. And I was a big underdog in that fight too. It was against Mike Davis. But I think that's, to this day, people will say that's the most exciting fight that they've seen, especially coming from me or on the Contender Series in general. And that's how I got to the UFC, and the rest is history.
First of all, I don't know anything about the fight. I've never heard it before till he got in there. So he was in school, college, and he started going out. In high school, he was doing the jiu-jitsu, wrestling. I'll go there, that's just a child's play. Or mom would be there clapping. It's nothing. I wanted him to play football. So he went into the football just to please me. And he was like, champion or something.
Yeah,
there too, captain, and it was like, that's not what I want. So I sent him to the university. From there, he started practicing the jiu-jitsu. He just walked home one day. I said, Mommy, I'm going to the camp. I was like, what camp? He was like, yeah, I want to be fighting. I said, wrestling? That thing that they'll be jumping, hitting. He said, that is not real. This is MMA, and it's real. And I was like, hey, no, you're not doing that. Until they said, okay, mommy started begging and begging and begging until one day almost cried. And I was like, okay, but I'm going to give you a goal. Like, if you don't achieve it at a certain year of your practice or whatever you guys are doing there, I'm coming to pick you. And trust me, a year too, when I said I'm coming to pick you, he got to the pro, and that was it. It was difficult. First, I didn't go. So my first was in Baltimore. So I didn't tell him. Even I gave tickets out to friends to go and watch him. So I just, okay, and I drove there. And I went up to the family area, and I was there, and he fought and won. And I was standing up there. I called him by the name I called him. I don't call him Sodiq. I call him Olamide. So I screamed from the audience, Olamide! And he said, my mom is there. My mom is here. Where's my mom? My mom is here. My mom is here. So I said, look at me. And he was jumping and waving. And he said, oh, that's his mom. So let her come to the back. And I went there and hugged him. And that was it. I've been watching until now. No,
now
I can't.
It's a little bit harder again.
It's getting harder.
She had a good moment of watching, but the older she is, I understand it's a lot of stress.
It's still, yeah. Whenever he goes to fight and you like win the fight, I always tell him, the guy that lost, they are from a family too. So this life is negative and positive. Always raise your head up. Walk in there, do your best. As long as you satisfy your conscience that, oh, that's fine, I don't care. So for him, I train them, the life is negative and positive. So always raise your head up.
It's very hard to learn when you're always winning. Almost every lesson you have is gonna come from a loss, because when you're winning, you're scared to change anything. You know, it's like, hey, this is working, so why fix it? You know, but like she said, when you're in the UFC, you're fighting the best people in the world. So sooner or later, you're gonna be the other family. So that when I win, I try to be graceful. When I lose, I try to be graceful and just approach everything with your heads up. You know. The biggest thing in this sport that I've seen, all of my peers now that are in the UFC, don't get me wrong, once you get to the UFC, you're already the best in the world. But all of my peers that I see who've gotten to the UFC are just the people that consistently did the right thing over and over again. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But as long as you consistently keep doing the right thing, you'll be all right. So even with the last loss, it's just about having myself in the right mindset to where don't doubt yourself too much, you know? Keep doing the right things. Today wasn't your day, but tomorrow might be. It's just naturally ingrained in us, man. It's the way that we're raised, is our upbringing. A lot of durability is made from coming from rough situations. There's a lot of people that are pampered in the world, and Nigeria is not one of those. Nigerians are hustlers, you know, and that's a good mindset with a lot of African immigrants. So when a lot of us enter combat sports, the coaches are always happy and they're pleased with us because of the way we respond, the way we talk, you know. So I think it's easier for them to pour into us because they see we're hardworking and respectful, and that just multiplies and adds on to itself. Yeah, I disagree with you about that being the golden age. I think that's just the beginning of history, because there's a kid that's at home that saw that happen And you have to wait for them to become 18 and 20. That's when you'll see the golden age. You know, that's just the inspiration. Somebody has to light the fuse. So and at the end, when these kids grow up, the ones that got to see all of us in the UFC now, that's when you'll see the true pride come through. He's always supported me. Those guys are like my elder classmen, because before I got into the UFC, I got to watch them do everything that they were doing, you know. So whenever I reached out to him, he's rarely ever told me no. My mom loves him because, like, man, that guy always helps you, he always helps you. The same thing, Usman helps me a lot too. I'm not very close with Francis, but both Israel and Kamaru always looked out, you know. I came here, every time I come to Nigeria, I usually only come for charity stuff with the local kids. So this time, coincidentally, I just saw that he was here at the same time. I was like, hey, I'm doing some charity stuff. I'm doing some charity stuff here too. I said, how long are you in town? He's like, man, I'm still gonna be here. I'm gonna step through. Just don't tell anybody so it doesn't get too crazy. But he pulled up and he came through with his caravan, and all the kids loved it. It was a great experience, you know. When I first started working with them, when they'll see me, they was like, oh man, it's Sodiq. But they've seen me enough time now where like it feels normal. So now when they see Israel, I'm hoping that the more they see him, that it'll start to feel normal, because that's important. It's different when you see something on TV because it looks so fantastic and grandiose. It doesn't feel real. But that's why I like meeting them so much now that they're like, all right, Sodiq is a regular person. And if Sodiq can do this, maybe I can do it too. If they see Israel too, that right now is still too big for them to understand, but the more he shows up, the more they're gonna see like, okay, this guy's a regular person too, and I can do what he do. I was telling her when we was walking with the entourage, I heard a mom is like, oh, Joko, you know. And I was like, wow, like that's very touching, you know, because like to translate, she was saying like one day people are gonna follow her kid like that because it was a big crowd, you know. So when she said that, it really touched me, man. I was like, hey, amen. I hope so for your kid too.
Oh, right now as a mother, I would tell a mother, you know, my dream was for him to become a doctor, a lawyer, something, you know, Nigerian culture, you want them to be, I don't know. But whatever your child decides to do, just give the full support and pray. That's all you can do. Let them be. Let them be. It's not everybody that will become that doctor, lawyer, that. Just let them be, because they will like it. Step in. If you said, oh no, you can't, your dad wants you to do this or that. It took me a while to confuse his dad, but at the end, you just have to.